Well, I got that done. Got them all bagged up and everything. That was an experience. So yes, my intro is, um, my aftermath of processing my first batch of meat birds. It was definitely a learning experience. I'm very, very, very happy with the outcome. Um, so, for anyone who is triggered by seeing guts, this is not your video, okay? By all means, bypass this video and go to my next one. I will not show the dispatching of the birds. I'm not showing that part of it, but I will show everything from scalding to um, to removing all the innards and everything. I don't show the bagging because it was such a whirlwind that I just missed that part of it. I did not talk throughout the video, so I will do a voiceover for this video. And yeah, it was a learning experience. There's some chaotic spots in it, and so I hope you enjoy it. And definitely stay to the end, because while preparing for this video, I definitely have a blooper reel that's gonna it's pretty funny. But yeah, so just come along, and I'm not doing an outro for this video. The blooper reel will be the outro. So that's about it, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, so here I am dunking the bird in the scalder. This part is very, very important. I didn't realize exactly how important it was. So all my research and all the videos I watched, the temp for that range from as low as even 130 degrees up to 170 degrees. So I decided on 140, 145 to do my birds. I believe that it should be hotter. I believe it should be maybe 150 to 155. And the reason why I say that is because I think that helps with the plucking part, because they did pluck okay, but they didn't pluck as good as I think that they should have. So that's my recommendation on that. Here I'm just dunking the second bird. I also recommend to use gloves. It didn't burn my hands or anything like that, but I think that you'll be less reluctant to actually get the bird all the way down, into the water. I was holding it by its feet, and so I really didn't, dunk it all the way down in there. So here I make some mistakes, okay? So my water wasn't turned on, and I already have the birds in the plucker. The plucker's not on yet because right here I realized that, and sorry about the view, but the safety screw was still on the plucker, so I couldn't flip it on. So now I flip it on, but I already got birds in there. You know what I mean? And so now I'm kind of frantic. The plucker's not working well. Eventually I figured, well, maybe it's because of the water, but I got a kink in my hose. So I got the kink out of the hose, and now the plucker's turned off. It's not working at all right now. And I believe that was because I already had the birds inside there when I turned on the plucker. And so it kind of binded up, and the emergency shut it off. I didn't realize that at the time. I just thought, man, my plucker's not working. What am I gonna do? Trying to figure it all out, So definitely a better walkthrough would have been a whole lot better for this process right here. So I start plucking it by hand. I can't get the plucker to work. I'm plucking it by hand. This sucks. For all the people out there that say they pluck it by hand, hey, look, I'm not one of them people. So at this point, I'm rethinking the whole process. I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna do 2 birds and that's gonna call it a day, because I am not doing this for 6 birds, you know? Well, I decided to mess with the plucker again, and I got it back working. There's a I guess a reset button on it. And I pushed that reset button and it started working. And I said, hallelujah. So now the plucker's back working and I am getting these birds all plucked. Sometimes they get a little stuck down in there. You just reach in there and make sure that they're all spinning in there pretty good. All right, so now I'm gonna turn it off, pull my birds out, and that is a whole lot better than what I was working with at first. Now, I think that the whole process of me having to fix the plucker, oh yeah, right here my hose broke, so that was fun. The whole there nozzle came off, but that was a brand new hose too. But anyway, I think that the whole process of me having to work on the plucker made it so that the birds sat out longer and they didn't get a good pluck. But anyway, here I am taking the feet off first, and this part is very, very easy. You lay the bird on its back and you bend its leg up, and there's just a junction right there, and you just cut down through it. You never cut through any of the bone or anything like that. And definitely sharp knife helps on this part. And see, easy peasy. Then the first thing I like to do is I like to work on the head end first. And I cut that skin off of that part, and then I work on getting the esophagus, and I think it's the trachea. I work on getting those and secure those in my hand. Just kind of rip away all the connective tissue there. There's gonna be some neck skin that I need to cut to, get a real good grip on. That's the neck skin right there. All right, so now that's out of the way. And here, I got both of them in my hands now. Just one little cut. You don't want to do too much cutting on that side of the bird, because that's the side where the craw is. And now I'm working on actually removing the craw from the breast. This part right here, I did withhold food from the birds for 24 hours. So the craw was practically empty, which is perfect. There's a lot of connective tissue on that. And so you're gonna have to use a lot of pressure, but you gotta be careful that you don't break the craw. I think that you can put a lot of pressure on it though. So here I'm cutting the esophagus and trachea off. Now I'm gonna just work, because I already got the craw kind of off from the breast and everything over there. So now I need to get all the connective tissue that's within the cavity on the top here, and then I turn it around because I'm going to pull all that out the rear. So here I make a little incision to cut the skin, and then right here I'm going to cut through the connective tissue or membrane or whatever you want to call it, so I can reach into the cavity. You got to be careful there and not cut the bowels. So just be very careful with that. I make a very small incision and I just rip that incision open. So now I'm inside the bird, just going by feel, removing as much connective tissue as I possibly can. And as you see, I'm putting some pressure on it, but I'm not just ripping it, because I don't want anything to break. Just putting nice, steady pressure on it. So right here, the esophagus is pulled out. You see there. And right here should be the craw. Yep, so that was the craw that just came out. So now I'd like to lift it up a little bit and let gravity do its work. And then I just cut all the innards right there and pull everything out. So now everything's out except for the lungs. Right there is the first lung. And then I reach back in and I get the second lung. People said that the lungs are hard to get out. I could see what they were saying, but it wasn't too difficult. So now I'm gonna cut along the side of the rectum and be careful here to not cut the bowels, but there's a bone that you can cut down, along that portion of it so you stay away from the rectum. And I do that on both sides of the rectum. So that's both of those cuts. And now, so all the innards are hanging out the back of the bird. And so now what I want to do, I'm getting that little bit of connective tissue off right there. So now, I got those two sides cut. I'm just making sure I have a really good, cut on both sides of those right now. And then as I lift up on that tail right there, there's a tailbone. There's just cartilage right there. And you cut through that cartilage and all of the innards goes away. A lot of people take the neck off at the beginning. I like to take it off at the end. I found that works good for me. It gives me something to hold on to when I'm pulling the innards if I need to. Right here, I'm letting gravity do its job and just making little incisions around the neck until the bird falls off. Just like that. And that is the process. Turn me on a little bit of water on my broken hose there. And I rinse everything out. And that is the process. Right here, I had a hen get loose. So I got pretty good with that net and catching up birds, because you'll see on the on my little outro video what happened to me, the day before I started processing. And so this is just the process. This is the second set of birds. I just started all over again. I did put on some gloves on this part, but obviously they're still not the right gloves. But I was able to get a better scald on these. And so the plucker did an amazing job. I didn't have to pluck almost any feathers off of these birds. So my major takeaways are, if this is your first time doing meat birds, go through the process. Take the time to actually, I had everything set up right, but I didn't actually walk through it. Like, hey, this is the cones. This is what I'm gonna do here. This is the dunking. This is what I'm gonna do here. Actually turn your scalder on, get it up to temp, because I had to figure out some things with that, because that was my first time using it. And then definitely with the plucker itself, if you have this yardbird plucker or any kind of plucker, I'd imagine, the way that I did it the first time was just not right. And so I think that making sure that you don't have the birds in it when you turn it on, making sure that the water is already on, makes a huge difference. I mean, I didn't have any issues with my plucker after I did it the right way. Like I said before, this turned out to not be such a hard task as I thought it was going to be. It was fairly easy, especially after I did the first 2 birds. So the first 2 birds took me maybe an hour to do those first 2 birds. But after that, the last 4 birds took me about 45 minutes. So that's 10 minutes a bird, you know? That's pretty good, I think. And I think I'll only get faster and faster from here. So as you see, I took both birds out. I turned my water on. I turned the plucker on, and then I put the birds in. And that worked so much better. Didn't have any issues whatsoever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned for my blooper video.